I hope that you guys will find a good kind of match up with my values as I teach and show you, how you can really help people. But I'm not the most patient person. In fact, one of my values is getting things done quickly. Not rushing, but I want things done. I want them done as quickly as possible, because there's a lot of people hurting out there and they don't have time. They just don't have time. We've got to get on with it. That's me speaking from my energy value. So sometimes I'm tapping my feet like, come on, let's get the next breakthrough and the next breakthrough and the next breakthrough. Because I know what you guys are capable of. And, I stand here in this space and I'm visualizing or imagining energetically thousands and thousands of people in the room. It's a great way. Anyone who's scared of public speaking or who finds presenting to be confronting or challenging, if you have a fear of speaking in public, and you don't, and you were nervous of speaking to 30 or 40 people in a room, no problem. Just visualize 30,000, and then bring yourself back to 30, and it's fine. Because you burn out so much of the fear thinking about 30,000 that 30 is suddenly not a problem. I totally believe what I've just said, and during the course of the week, you're going to see the building blocks and the building points of that process, of having that mindset. One of the big ones is, as you said yourself, what am I consciously missing? I don't care about consciously missing. I do subconscious. I don't do conscious. In terms of building blocks, I'm all for mindfulness. I'm all for conscious creation and being aware and savoring every moment. I'm all for being present. I really am for those things. But ultimately, the shifts happen subconsciously. They have to. They have to. One of my own kind of teachers and mentors many, many, many years ago said to me, Ed, do you remember, he said, what vegetables didn't you like when you were young? I said, I think broccoli. And he said, and do you like it now? Yes. What made you decide? I said, what do you mean, what made me decide? He said, well, what was the moment when you said, I'm going to like broccoli now? So we never make those decisions consciously. Some people do, but only because they're driven by a subconscious need to do it. I've seen people who've made themselves like sushi. I love sushi. But the point being, I've known people that really, they don't like the idea of sushi at all, but they just, my identity, my friends all like it, and it seems really cool, and so I want to like sushi. And so they kind of force themselves. And they keep forcing themselves, but they want it so much that eventually they make that shift. And they do that. It's like green eggs and ham, I do like it. I do like sushi. It's great. Smoking is exactly the same. I remember doing it. I remember that exact thing with smoking. This is horrible, but hopefully none of my friends notice that I've turned green, because I'm going to keep going. You keep going, and eventually it's like, I like it now. Now, the shift has happened subconsciously, but you consciously decided you wanted to do it. But rewind that one step, your subconscious told you wanted to be that person. This stuff's going on deep, like I say, down somewhere mermaid level of thinking. And it's wonderful, because that's where great art comes from. That's where creativity comes from. That's where great inventions come from. And we capture them in our dreams. We capture them wherever. Who was I reading about the other day? Somebody else. Now, a creative artist now. It could have been Elon Musk, like a business person. It could have been a creative artist, I'm not sure. But somebody, again, was talking about how they capture their work in their dreams. David Lynch, everything comes from his dreams, everything. Waking dreams, sleeping dreams, daydreams, doesn't matter. It comes in, it's captured as art. Now, you might think, well, that's different from life, but it can't be, because we dream about walking a long time before we walk. We dream about, being successful in different ways long before we actually consciously put that into, crystal form, concrete form. It's really funny that I think it's great. One of the great ways of learning, we haven't done anything particularly practical yet, but we will get to that very soon. But I just want to lay some foundations, really, of what we're doing. I'm saying clarity is really, really important, but I'm also aware that I'm confusing the hell out of a lot of people. And I'm also aware that I believe that confusion is a very, very, very good thing. Very difficult to make big changes without getting a bit confused first. It's virtually impossible. And feeling that sense of, this is different, this is a bit overwhelming, this is confusing, I haven't thought this way before, it's tiring. When your brain starts thinking in a different way, it's really exhausting. That's why hardly anybody does it. Our brains are busy all the time, even when we're asleep, they're flickering away. 99.9% of the time they're thinking about things they've thought about before. Same old thoughts. Like an engine that's just purring. The actual revving of the engine to get that extra 10, 20, 30% out of your mind power, the revving of the engine is so exciting, but it's also exhausting. Uses a lot of fuel. What's fuel? What's our fuel? Energy. Anybody creative, anybody who considers themselves to be a creative being, you're aware that that energy is your number one asset. It's primary asset. Protect it like Fort Knox. Just don't let people mess with your energy, because that's what you've got. You can always get it back, but there's nothing better than being in flow. Flow is what we're searching for. That just the energy where there's as much energy. It's like circular breathing. Singers, opera singers, whatever, professional singers who can kind of breathe as they're singing, or actors that can breathe as they're talking, because they're using circular breathing. If you can be living in a high energy place, that doesn't mean bouncing around like Tony Robbins or whatever. That could be your high energy could be more akin to a quiet, studious, introverted type. It makes no difference. Your true source code, whatever it is, that's when you're in high energy. Someone else might think you're sitting there quietly, analysing things like, she seems quite quiet. But that could be you at full power, high energy, and that's fine, that's great. The circular breathing analogy is about how you can be bringing in energy and using energy at the same time, so you're not depleting it. It's part of what being in flow is all about. Does that make sense? When you're at your best, when you're doing something and you're really enjoying it and you really feel like you're in flow, I was born to do this. This is so easy, nobody else can do it, And I don't care what it is, cycling, knitting, writing a poem, running your business, chatting with people, I don't care what it is. When you feel, I'm in flow, this is great, time stands still, I can do this forever. In that moment, isn't it amazing how your energy seems to build and not deplete? Who really loves seeing clients, working with clients, whatever it is that you do? Yeah. And what's it like after hours of doing that? Who feels they start waking up? Just when you should be getting tired, you wake up, and then you go home, you can't sleep, because your mind's still going. So the more you can be doing that, the easier this whole energy thing becomes.